In the age of Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat stories, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking everyone has a better life than you. But in fact, most people in this world are just as lost as you and I. When we overthink, we speculate that we're somehow worse than others, like everyone else has it figured out, and we're the ones getting it wrong. This is completely false. You're not alone in feeling alone. In a Stanford University study, it was discovered that most people think others have a better social life than ours. Think about that. Everyone is worried that everyone else's social lives are more exciting.
People are posting pictures of when they're really happy. They're modifying those pictures to be better looking. Even if they're not modifying the pictures, they're at least selecting the pictures for the best lighting, the best angle. So if you look at everyone on Instagram, you might think, man, there are all these happy, beautiful people, and I'm not that good looking and I'm not happy. So I must suck, and that's gonna make people sad. So when in fact, those people you think are super happy, actually not that happy.
And social media is just one source of the problem. The central issue is the mental fabrication of problems that don't have to exist. As Seneca, a Roman philosopher, beautifully stated, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. In other words, we constantly overthink. Overthinking is obsessing over insignificant details. It's the inability to dissociate from negative thoughts. We overthinkers give too much significance to unimportant things, pondering over what already happened, or role-playing what is yet to happen, often playing out the worst-case future scenario. Not only is it a waste of mental energy, but this mindset is the cause of a lot of insecurity and psychological stress. It can be difficult to break this mental cycle of overthinking, but there are some key principles that can help us transcend it. There are 3 in particular which I would like to discuss. The first is Stoicism. In popular vernacular, Stoicism is described as the ability to persevere through hard times without showing weakness. This is an oversimplification of a school of philosophy that is over 2,000 years old and a way of thinking that has guided millions of people from world leaders to world-class athletes. Stoicism, in its true meaning, boils down to accepting that there are some things that we can control and other events that are simply out of our control. When we overthink, we tend to beat ourselves up about our flaws, we cringe at our mistakes, and we don't let ourselves be human.
The only matter of concern to a wise and philosophic individual is the things completely under your control. You can't control the movements of the sun and the planets. You can't control whether a leaky ship sinks or makes it to port. You can't control the weather, you can't control other people, you can't control the society around you. There's only one thing and one thing only that you are in control of, and that is you. Your will, your intentions, yourself.
One of the things that is out of our control are the thoughts and actions of others, and obsessing over these topics is one of the hallmarks of overthinking. We know that human behavior is incredibly complex. In fact, most people can't explain why they have certain tendencies and personality traits. Therefore, obsessing over what someone did or might do is a wasted effort.
There's no use wondering or worrying about what tomorrow will bring, since tomorrow isn't under your control. Do what's right today and let tomorrow take care of itself. The Stoic philosopher is the man who has liberated himself from fear.
The second principle is to embrace the power of vulnerability. Admitting your shortcomings isn't a form of weakness.
That vulnerability is not weakness. In fact, I would argue that it's our greatest measure of courage. When we went out and asked people, what is vulnerability? We heard things like, vulnerability is the first date after my divorce. Vulnerability is starting my own company. Vulnerability is taking responsibility for something that went wrong at work. Vulnerability is sitting with my wife who has stage 3 breast cancer and making plans for our young kids.
Being vulnerable also allows us to be honest with ourselves. It enables us to have greater internal peace. Gandhi once said, happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. There is a great internal peace that is achieved when we can be genuine with ourselves. We can be bold in our openness and breathe a bit easier. The third principle, obsess over something you're naturally drawn to. Something productive, but something you're incredibly passionate about. This lets you temporarily forget about problems, as the mind can only juggle so much at a given time. It's so much easier to switch your thoughts than stop them altogether. So when negative thoughts kick in, instead of trying to quiet them, delve into something else. Something that takes your mind in a different direction. If you were told you had only 24 hours left to live, how would you spend that time? Likely not stuck in your head thinking of negative thoughts. There just simply wouldn't be enough time for that. Yet, this is the position overthinkers like myself find ourselves in at some point of almost every day. And this is why I made this video, as a reminder to myself and hopefully others to break the spell of overthinking.